everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back. And today we're going to be doing a regular watercolour tutorial, and I'm going to show you first of all how to mix grey, but 3 different ways. Then I'm going to show you how you can get several tones of, in this case grey, but any colour will do, out of the same tube. So first things first, we're going to mix a very basic grey, and we're going to paint this path. This is just a very quick watercolour pencil sketch that I did especially for this demonstration. And we're just going to do a very basic black and white, the most forbidden colours in watercolour. What a load of rubbish. You can use whatever works for you. So we are going to use black and white. So there is our white. Oh, hang on, you can't see that, can you? Sorry. So I'm going to pick up some white first and pop that in there. Just fairly hefty bit of white because we don't want it too overpowering, and that black obviously is a very strong colour. And then I'm just going to pick up, this is my black, just on the tip of my brush. Well, we might need it a little bit more than that, just a touch at a time with this black, otherwise it'll take over very quickly. So there we go. There is a nice, sorry, I've moved my camera in a different position, so if I suddenly go off camera, shout at me. So there we go, there's a nice basic grey with black and white. And what I'm going to use that for, I'm going to use that to paint this path. Just make sure you can still see. We can, we're okay. Let's just water that down a little bit. It's a little bit strong, but that's all right. We can adjust. You use the water to adjust your watercolour. In watercolour, you use the water to adjust the pigment, the colour. So we'll just pick up a bit more. And you can always go back into it. And because this is a path, if it's a bit mottled, then that doesn't really matter. It'll add to the effect. Because unless it's just been freshly laid, no path is ever completely flat. So we'll just do this round there, round that corner there. We'll just finish off this path. Just pick up a bit more. Add a bit more water to it. So we just adjust as we go along. So there we go. Nearly done. Nearly done to the end of that path. And then what we're going to do, we're going to wash the brush out again. And we're going to use a different combination of colours. Just two colours, no more than 2. And we're going to use another, we're going to mix another grey. So I'm not going to fiddle with that. I'm going to leave that like that. And the next one we're going to do, we're going to use ultramarine and burnt umber, and we're going to paint this roof. So this time I'll bring my palette over. So this is this combination here. This is my ultramarine, beg your pardon. Burnt ultramarine, that's a new colour for you. So ultramarine and just a touch of burnt umber, just a little bit at a time, because again it's a bit like black, it's a very strong colour. And it will overpower, as you can see, very, very quickly. So you just keep adjusting until you're happy with the colour. I would like that to be just a little more blue. So you just keep on taking elements from your combinations until you're happy with it. And of course you can lighten it. You can still take some of your white, that's no problem. If you want to lighten it, take some of your white to lighten it, and you get this nice bluey grey, which is gorgeous. And we're going to use that to paint our roof. So I'll just pop that down there. We'll just put a little water on there. It may be a little thick, but that's all right. No, actually it's all right, it's okay, we're doing good. So I was just looking up at my screen there to make sure you can still see. So we're going to paint that right across there, lovely thick colour. So we're just going to finish off this roof, and then I'm going to show you another way of painting grey, one more. And then we'll do our trick with our one tube. Or, not the whole tube of course, but just a little bit. I'm not going to bother putting the tile separations in because this is just to show you how we get the effect for grey. So if this was going to be a full painting, I would get a darker colour and I'd mess about putting in all the tile separations, but we're not going to do that today. So what we are going to do, again, wash our brush out. And this time, I'm going to pick up over here. Over here I've got another combination, and this is cobalt blue this time. Let's just find an empty place on the palette. And I'm going to, again, wash my brush out and pick up a little burnt sienna. And that's that one there. So I'm just going to mix that in, and it will very gradually start to go grey, like that, like that. So that's a lovely grey mix. And actually, again, as we got our white out, there's nothing wrong with using white to lighten. I'm going to add a little white. Oh, that's perfect. Just to lighten it. Because what we're going to do with this one, we're going to paint a few greyish clouds in the sky. So we need this not too wet. So I'm just going to water it down a little with my very mucky bucket. But the water inside isn't mucky. So we can start any way we like, really. So if I start there, and all we do is we paint in circles like that, and we shape the clouds however you want to. So there's no rules for painting clouds. They can be, if you look up when on a cloudy day, they can be any shape. So there are no rules for painting clouds. Either use the clouds that you can see, or if it's a cloudless sky, do what I do and make them up. So we won't do too many. We won't do too many. But once you've got them in and you think, oh golly, that's a bit stark, all you do is you take your water and just use your water to mix, to blend it, just in these little circles like that. A bit like French polishing, if you remember French polishing. Just very small circles. And that will give you your nice fluffy edge, your soft edge. And it will blend your clouds into your sky and make them look more natural. So we're just going to blend the way like that. Quite relaxing doing this actually, quite good fun. And we'll just do this little one down here. And there are our clouds in our sky. And there is our little sketch. It's not really a painting, it's more like a sketch. But there is our little sketch finished. So there you go, you've got 3 different ways of making different tones of grey. So grey doesn't have to be boring. You can make it interesting, you can adjust it, you can even add white to lighten it, maybe add a spot of either blue or black to darken it. As long as when you're doing or adding the darker colours, remember just to do it a little touch at a time, otherwise it'll overpower very, very quickly. So now I'm going to just swap this over. I'll bring it back to show you what we've done when we do a recap at the end of the video. We're going to start again with a blank page, or a cleanish page. And what I'm going to do, there's one little blob of paint that I haven't used yet on my palette. Let's just get some water. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to use water to regulate our paint, to regulate how thick or how strong it is. And the one blob of paint I haven't used yet is that one. And that is burnt, no it's not, it's Payne's Grey. Just an ordinary Payne's Grey straight from the tube. So first of all, I'm going to moisten off, or I've got some water on my brush, but not too much. So I'm going to pick up a little bit. I've used a bigger brush this time. So we're just going to pick up a bit, mix it out onto our palette. Actually, let's bring it down here a bit. And so this is more or less thick paint straight from the tube with just a tiny amount of water. So if we start there, that's thick. That is almost, actually, I think we might need a little bit more water than that. So that's thick paint straight from the tube. It's almost a black. So again we're going to make the same blob from here, same blob of colour, same blob of paint, same Payne's Grey, and this time we're going to mix it with a little more water. So we're going to lay it down right next to the other one, but this time I'm going to put more water with it, like that. Maybe just a touch more even. And again, as you come down, the water dilutes the paint and it runs out and it gives you that beautiful gradation. So if we take just a little less paint this time, just a little bit, just this little puddle here that's formed over here. Again, put it down there, but I'm going to put more water on it this time. And this time it'll fade out to almost nothing. So there you are, and that's quite a nice, it's almost like a French grey, and we're only using one tube of Payne's grey. So there we go. From one tube of paint you can get several tones of colour. So you can make your tubes go further. I'm just going to blend that a bit better, just to show you how smoothly these wonderful paints can blend. So there you go. You've got one tube of paint and you've got several tones of colour there. So you can get quite a lot out of one tube. So there is our blending to achieve our different tones. I'm not going to get them both in the same shot. But there, oops, that's my notes as well. We don't want that. But there is our colour mixes for our three ways, or these three ways of making grey. And I'm sure you can find other ways if you want to mix a little yellow into some of them, but make sure that you don't make it go green. So you can add your own, you can find your own combinations of grey, but this is just three basic ways just to get you started. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that. I will be back very quickly tomorrow because I've got one more project to show you from our Papercraft Society books number 30. Now that's going to be a fun gift bag, but we'll get into that tomorrow. But then next week, it's just we're just back to our watercolour tutorials. And I will see you tomorrow with a fun papercraft project. So I hope you've enjoyed this one and found it useful. And in the meantime, stay safe everybody, have fun, and as always, happy painting. Bye bye for now.